All right, folks, a strange weekend in the city of Dallas where a police officer shot and killed a man. And the story that she gave was that she thought she was in her apartment. And when she came in, she shot and killed him. This is very weird. So Amber Geyer worked about 12 or 14 hours on the weekend. And apparently she went to her apartment. And as the story goes, she thought there was an intruder in her apartment. Well, she shot him dead on the spot. That man is Botham Jean. He was actually in his own apartment. He was an associate at PricewaterhouseCoopers, the big accounting firm and consulting firm. Now, the crazy thing is, after Geyer called 911, they came on the scene. They tried to save Botham. Well, then he died. But she wasn't arrested. This happened on Thursday. It wasn't until 3 days later she was actually arrested in a neighboring county. When she was finally arrested, bail was set, $300,000. She bonded out. Right now, she is free. So what in the world is going on there in Dallas? Major controversy there. The city of Dallas, of course, they were actually leading the investigation. Then they shifted the investigation from Dallas to the Texas Rangers. And they said she had not been arrested because she was still cooperating. Okay? Now, here's the weird thing. She wasn't on duty. So she shot and killed this man, but they're treating her like she was actually on duty. That also doesn't make sense. Now it's something different. Now her story is changing. Well, the initial story she gave is that she had issues unlocking the door. He comes to the door in his underwear, opens the door, she shoots him. Her new story is that she stepped in, saw him, ordered him to back up. It's all crazy that's going on. We're going to talk with the family attorney, Lee Merritt, who's also been hired in this case along with Ben Crump. But first, this is Botham Jean's mother speaking at a news conference earlier today.
What we want, I'm not satisfied that we have all the answers. And the number one answer that I want is what happened. I have asked too many questions and I've been told that there are no answers yet. I'm looking forward to all of the powers that be to come up with the answers to make me more satisfied that they are doing what is in the best interest of getting justice for Botham.
All right, folks, we're going to be talking with Lee Merritt. Of course, he is the attorney for the family in just 1 second. But first, I want to go to Avis Jones-DeWeaver, who's one of our panelists. Of course, she is lifestyle strategist, leadership strategist, and author of How Exceptional Black Women Lead. This is a weird story, Avis, because the story, again, is changing. It's changing. She doesn't get arrested. 3 days go by. City of Dallas, they're leading it. And also the Texas Rangers are involved. And, again, this wasn't an on-duty shooting.
Right.
They literally are treating her as if she did this on duty.
Absolutely. You know, one thing that doesn't change, Roland, the truth. The truth doesn't change. So the fact that she has already shifted her story so drastically raises all sorts of red flags for me. Quite frankly, initially the story raised all sorts of red flags for me. If it sounds ridiculous and unbelievable, it probably is unbelievable. Well, and the fact that it shifted even gives more credence to the fact that she's lying.
Well, and what's weird to me is, again, this whole idea of I thought it was in my apartment. First of all, her apartment is on a totally different floor than his apartment.
Yep.
We also know that there was a red mat that was in front of his home, his apartment, that wasn't in front of hers.
Absolutely.
And then now the story is changing. And so it's just like I don't understand how all of a sudden you get mixed up. I've never gotten mixed up.
I haven't
going to the wrong apartment.
I haven't either. And, you know, there's furniture. There are identifying articles that are in your apartment that's not in another person's apartment. And even if the lights were off in his apartment, there's light in the hallway. So when you open the door, that is going to bring some illumination into that new space. You cannot tell me that she did not realize until she killed this man that she wasn't in her own apartment.
Now, here's what's weird. This is the initial story that came out. I was reported that she said that when she arrived home, she took the elevator to a floor that was not hers. Okay. She then went to what she thought was her door, put the key in, and struggled with the lock. Geiger then put down several things she was holding and continued to fight with the key when the resident swung open the door and startled her. Geiger believed Jean, who was wearing only underwear, was an intruder and shot him with her service weapon. Okay, so let's deal with that. All he has is underwear. Mm-hmm. Why would you shoot him? As opposed to say, sir, what are you doing in my apartment? Step into the hallway. But check this out. Hold on,
I don't know any burglars that rob homes in their underwear.
This is the new one.
To me.
Now, according to J.D. Miles, who is a reporter there in Dallas, it says, breaking, his tweet, sources reveal Amber Geiger told investigators she yelled at Botham Jean to show his hands after she walked into his apartment, drew her firearm, and shot him. Officers say the door was unlocked and she thought she was entering her unit when she saw a victim in the dark. Now, that night, I struggled with the lock.
Right.
I couldn't get in. Now, the door was unlocked. I walked in. Mm-hmm.
And I'm ordering someone.
I'm sorry, you're lying. I don't understand why. You're lying. You can't go from I struggle unlocking the door and the door swings open and he's there in his underwear to, oh, he's standing, oh, the door's unlocked.
Absolutely. I mean, I've lived in apartments. I don't live in an apartment now, but I lived in an apartment for many years, going through college, grad school, all that stuff. And, you know, those mats that you placed in front of your apartment is a very identifying marker. And he had a red mat in front of his. It's impossible for me to believe that she even approached his door without even seeing a red mat, knowing that she doesn't have any mats in front of her apartment. How she sets up this story doesn't even make sense in terms of the facts, and the fact that her story has changed so remarkably. I mean, they're not even close.
Right.
To me, it's just very unbelievable.
Well, this is also what happens, I think, when you have a shooting involving a police officer, and when they give the officer all kinds of leeway that they would never give any other citizens. You cannot tell me that if you shot somebody and you killed them, that 3 days would go by and you would never have been arrested.
Absolutely. And the family isn't given the information that they should be given. They are the victims here. They are the victims here. And the police, as would be expected, are closing ranks and protecting their own.
Right. And even though the city of Dallas turned this over to Texas Rangers, and apparently she was found in Kaufman County, which is a nearby county in Dallas. What they then did was, but this happened in Dallas County. Well, the DA earlier had a news conference, and she said, oh, let's be clear. We will call a grand jury in this case. And so the initial call was that it would be a manslaughter charge. Mm-hmm. But even that's still troubling for people, because here's this man, 26 years old,
yes, in
his own apartment, upstanding citizen. Mm-hmm. He's dead.
Yeah.
And then one of the stories said that she's just so distraught by what took place. Yeah, but you're alive.
Exactly.
He's dead.
Exactly. I mean, really, to the extent and the leeway that white women's tears are given is driving me crazy. He has lost his life. He had an amazing future in front of him. And as you've mentioned, just set up the facts of this. First of all, she's off duty. She makes this unbelievable mistake of going to the wrong apartment on the wrong floor with an identifying marker even outside of the apartment to indicate that it's not hers. And she still makes her way into this apartment, claims she cannot see any furniture, any pictures, nothing about that apartment that would alert her to the fact that it's the wrong apartment. And all of a sudden she shoots to kill a man in his underwear who's in his own apartment, a law-abiding citizen, and has no reason to, frankly, to actually, follow any orders, because actually he's being intruded upon at that point. So, she's the intruder, not him.
So according to this affidavit, Geiger lived on the 3rd floor, directly beneath his apartment. Mm-hmm. He lived on the 4th floor. She mistakenly parked on the 4th floor after finishing a shift at the Dallas Police Department. Now, again, according to this Dallas Morning News story, when she arrived at Jean's door, Geiger entered a unique door key with an electronic chip into the keyhole. Okay, the affidavit says the door was already ajar, so the force of pushing the key inside opened the door. Strange. I mean, I don't understand And the affidavit says the apartment's respective interior floor plans are in most ways identical or extremely similar. Okay, here's the deal. That means nothing to me because the reality is an apartment smells different.
Absolutely.
An apartment looks different. Furniture looks different. If I walk into my apartment and there's a lamp right here, I don't have a lamp, it makes no sense. I'm still trying to understanding it. So Lee Merritt has been hired by the family in this particular case, and so he joins us via FaceTime right now. Lee, how you doing?
Doing as well as can be with these false narratives line.
So Lee, this is so crazy and confusing because it's, again, this idea, she said on the night he was killed, she struggled getting the key in and he swung the door open. Now all of a sudden the door was unlocked.
Yeah, this is the first official narrative that this family has been offered at all as to what happened. Even in the narrative from the first night, we believe that it
Can't
came,
hear anything.
but it was
I
not.
can't even hear y'all talking. So Lee, the family obviously is devastated by this. How do you also feel about this strange thing where she's being treated like she's a police officer who was involved in a police officer shooting? She was not on duty.
Regardless of whether she was on duty or not, and she clocked out. The problem is she's still in that uniform. She's still carrying a service pistol, and so she's holding herself out to the public under the color of state authority. So everybody who saw her would have looked at her as a police officer, and that's significant because that would allow her, for example, access to this apartment. I can tell you that there's evidence, there's witnesses who say the narrative that she put forward is directly contradicted by things that happened. There's several witnesses that have told us, and we've reported it to the district attorney's office, and they have that information, that this woman was knocking on John's door that evening, and saying, "Let me in." And so this narrative we outright reject as the best possible narrative for Geiger, but not very well based.
1 second here. I know you're breaking up there, Lee, and so we'll try to get this fixed. And so you're saying that witnesses have said that they heard her saying, "Let me in." We've also seen some photos of them taking together. Have you heard anything from family members about a pre-existing relationship between those two? Were they friends? Were they dating? Anything like that?
So we do not believe that they had a pre-existing relationship based on everyone that we've talked to. The only ideal of a relationship is that she was in an apartment directly below his that we previously received noise complaints about stomping around upstairs. And so that's the extent of the relationship. We've been able to discover that she complained about him making too much noise upstairs. But we have corroborated witnesses who say that she was banging on the door, that they heard that, and it drew their attention, and that she was screaming, "Let me in."
Now, to your knowledge, has the Texas Rangers talked to those people? Because, again, that totally contradicts what she is saying. I'm looking here, again, this Dallas Morning News story, where they claim in this affidavit, she said she saw a large silhouette, someone she thought was being burglarized. But, again, this says she gave verbal commands that were ignored, fired twice. Jean was struck once in the torso. She turned on the lights, then went to the front door again and realized the apartment wasn't hers. I'm still confused because this affidavit is different than what she said right after the shooting.
Yeah, it's contradicted by her own testimony. And you asked a question about the Rangers. The Rangers have offered that they believe everything that this woman told them, that they believe that she has been truthful from the beginning. The problem is she's offered two different narratives. I can say the district attorney has shown less faith or credibility for what she has said, especially as this new evidence comes forward. The Rangers were told about these other witnesses. They never went to bother to go interview them. They never successfully interviewed them. We assumed they had when we went to speak with the district attorney yesterday. When we learned that they hadn't, we called the witnesses. They came. They gave sworn testimony, and that evidence is now being considered by the district attorney.
Do you believe that it was fair for the city of Dallas to turn this over to the Texas Rangers and not have the department investigate one of their own? Was that a smart decision by the city of Dallas?
I think that it was a smart decision by the city of Dallas only in this regard. They couldn't investigate themselves in this case because as soon as she made the claim that she was operating as a police officer, even when you're off duty, if she was out drinking at a bar and she heard someone break into a car outside, the moment she steps outside to investigate, she resumes her position as a police officer. So she doesn't have to clock in or out. Her training automatically affords her that position. So this is something that they're responsible for. And so they had to bring someone else in. I don't think it was wise to bring Frank. That's what the Dallas Sheriff's Department for. And say that for
Actually, so we broke there, Lee Barrett. So I'm sorry I can't hear you right now because we literally have lost your connection. Lee Merritt, I surely appreciate it. Thank you so very much. We'll be talking to you in the following days as we follow this very strange case. Again, folks, Amber Geyer, she actually made that bail. She is out. She is free as we speak. And so this new affidavit is now showing something totally different in the initial story that she gave us. We'll be following this story.